Welcome to the Estate Professionals Mastermind podcast, built for real estate professionals that want to work less, earn more, and make an impact in their community. For information on how you can become part of the estate professionals community, visit probatemastery.com.
Hey Bruce, while you're waiting,
Yes.
where you'd mentioned you were going to start doing some uh, video content production.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where would we? And you said you were going to post that stuff. I didn't know where we could find that.
We're doing a training on that tomorrow. So it's probably a training that it'll be my first run through on that tomorrow. It's something that I've shown people in coaching program and things, but tomorrow we're just doing a training at noon. You guys probably if you have not gotten an email, you'll get the email here within the next probably 20 minutes. I've got one of the team members working on getting that out. And what it is it's essentially we're running through my AI process for creating content. So we'll talk about literal creating AI content. Um, we will talk about creating scripts with AI. We'll talk about creating short video scripts with AI, content outlines, content topics, blogs, basically everything, a delivery system. So essentially scheduling a month in advance on what gets posted when, on which platforms. So we're going over all that tomorrow, and then during that class, I'm going to be doing a process where people can submit videos to my team to do the editing. So what's ended up happening is um, with the new technology behind some of the phone systems, it's become more difficult to get through on the phone. And we'll just go ahead and admit that phone has always been my bread and butter. It's not impossible to get through on the phone. In fact, I'm still exploring and experimenting with different ways to get the phone, and we'll go over that in a minute. But because it's harder to get through on the phone, I've got all these ISAs that all have administrative skill sets, and so I've repurposed a few of them and trained them on video production. So at this point, they're just sitting on the sideline. I've trained them; they're ready to go, and now I need videos for them to edit. Now there's 5 of them, and I can't produce enough content by myself to keep them busy. So we're running over kind of my content production tomorrow, and essentially what it is, just a little teaser on that. I'm generally just using Claude. So Claude is my AI tool of choice. I've built out a full content brief. It's at least that's what I call it. A content brief is any prompt that you give AI repetitively. So if repetitively I was giving AI, when this was happening, I was giving AI the prompt to say, hey, I need a new video for probate mastery, and I want you to create a script on this topic. And then I would spend the next 45 minutes having a conversation with Claude about who the audience is and what I want it to say and what the outline should look like. And do I want SEO with it? Do I want to write a blog with it? How many shorts are going to come? And so we would have all these conversations for about 45 minutes. And I found after the seventh or eighth time that I went in and I asked Claude to help me create my content, I was like, man, there's got to be a better way. So ended up coming up with these content briefs, which are all the prompts and instructions that tell Claude exactly what to produce for you and on what topics, and tell Claude about your business so that it doesn't have to ask you all the back and forth. And that's what we're giving tomorrow in the class. So all I do when I create content is I load that content brief in with a little one-line thing on what topic I want to create. It kicks me an outline of the video. I review the outline and make sure it's not giving me anything completely wrong, which occasionally it does. Okay. So I review the outline. If it's good, I tell it to give me a long form script which it does. I review the script and make sure that the basics are, yeah, it's for everyone, Moses. The basics are are accurate. Sometimes it's not accurate. Sometimes it's a little too generic. So an example of where leaning on AI too heavily might go wrong is I put a video out the other day, or I was recording a video the other day, and I was reading off of the script, and it was talking about how to make $1 million a year in the probate niche. Okay. And I'd given it an outline, and I have people that are making $1 million a year in the probate niche. Okay, so there's legitimately a way. Given it an outline, I reviewed the outline, I put the script in, and I didn't review the script. And so I'm reading this teleprompter, and it says, step one, get yourself to the point where you're doing 24 deals a year at $300,000. And then it said, and I'm reading this and I go, $300,000 is 3% commission at $9,000 per deal. And you should make $220,000. And I read that and I was like, okay, duh, obvious. And then it says, step two, increase your listing price on probate deals to $400,000. And suddenly you're making now 390,000. And I read it, and then it says step three, increase the price of your probate deals to 500,000. And I was like, what am I even putting this content out for? Like it couldn't be giving more of a plain Jane bland bland approach or training approach if I tried. So I stopped it and I went back and I went to Claude and I said, this is terrible. I want to know a business strategy for creating $1 million a year probate business. And here's some ideas. And it kicked a new script out that I went with. But anyway, all that's a rabbit trail. I give Claude the content brief. I give it the topic that I'm doing. I review the outline. I review the script. And then I tell it to give me a blog. I tell it to give me between 5 and 7 short scripts that I can create shorts with. I tell it to give me all the SEO copy that goes into YouTube. I tell it to give me video production notes, which are really important. Video production notes are what goes to your editors so that they know where to put text, where to put B-roll, where to put your little commercial inserts and things like that. That way, when you give them your video clips, they know where to put everything during editing. And that's my approach. That's the basics of what we're going over tomorrow. And I'll give you guys my briefs and everything. So I wasn't intending to announce that class on this call, but tomorrow, it's Wednesday, the 22nd of April at 12 Eastern time is when we'll do that. And assuming it goes well, I'll probably do another one in another week or two on the same topic for anyone that can't make it.
Will you have that recorded and posted anywhere by chance?
Yeah, I'll record it. We're gonna put it into our recordings sometimes take a little bit to create a tutorial that goes along with it and get it in. So we'll record it and make it a product that'll be up within what's tomorrow, Wednesday. It'll probably be up by early next week. So yeah, we'll have the recording for anyone. And then with that, the editors are available, and we've basically got just a delivery system. So what I'm going to do is make my editors available, and anyone that is following our system can load their video clips in with their instructions in, and just email us at a customized email that we have, and that'll trigger your production. And it will be for a charge unless you're in coaching. So we'll be charging, but not as much as a production house does. I'm essentially just trying to keep my editors busy so that I don't have to lose good quality people. All right, cool. Hey, Michael, what's up?
Yeah, not not much, Bruce. Uh, will you let your people do carousels and Instagram type posts, B-roll, editing, that kind of thing?
Um, go ahead, ask me that again. I think there was just enough feedback where maybe I didn't understand your question.
Yeah, I'm a little hoarse today. Yeah, are you going to allow your editors to do carousels, Instagram carousels, or B-roll editing?
I have not trained them on that. Um, so. if we that would probably be kind of a an additional product that maybe we roll out in the future once I've taught them that. So right now, my basic process for teaching them is we have shorts that are anywhere from 30 seconds to 2 minutes long, and you essentially give one clip with instructions on where to put your text overlays and your B-roll and your little intro and outro clips, and they produce it. Or long form video. So when I do long form video, I sit down either on a teleprompter and I record it in segments. So one 12-minute video might end up being 7 or 8 segments, and I'll read each segment and I'll hit stop and publish on each segment. And then I'll take each segment, I'll put it in a folder with my instructions, and they clip it all together. They do the cuts and the little jump cuts, and they put the B-roll in and put the text in and put the intros and outros, and I usually put a little commercial into the middle of my video, and they put all that together. So those are the things that I've trained my editors on. As far as B-roll production and carousels, I just haven't trained them on it. I'm not saying I wouldn't, but I haven't. All right. So who has questions? It doesn't need to be on video. I do believe, let me go ahead and say this. I do believe that content is going to be something that becomes more and more important in the probate space. It's more difficult to get people on the phone these days because there's a lot of AI blockers that the carriers are putting in that are causing phone numbers to get flagged as spam a little bit more frequently. Okay, so we're running into some issues with phone systems. You also have those Google verification messages that say, hey, state your name and we'll connect you. It's kind of designed to stop some of the telemarketing approaches. I still connect with people through the phone. I'm still a believer, but it's just getting less effective. So we want to get people chasing us. How do we do that? Content. Mail is still relevant, okay, but content, if I can record an asset for my content, that could live out there for the next 10 years and bring me leads. Okay, blogs becoming SEO relevant is a way to get inbound traffic. Good websites that are SEO relevant is a way to get inbound traffic, and then ultimately, in addition to that, our relationship referrals. So there's people that are out there. We just need to present ourselves as better businesses with better solutions when people are out doing what they do, Googling, going to ChatGPT, going to Claude, going to content, and I promise they still are. They still go to Google. How do I apply for probate? How do I start probate? Do I need probate? You want to be relevant under all those search terms. So content is going to be something that if you're going to be in this space and make an impact, you're going to need to create content. Matthew Price.
Sorry, I had to catch up. One of the questions that I got earlier this week was, how would I sell property that's in a conservatorship? And I know what my answer was. My answer was you have to be very careful of that because you don't really know what the conservancy is until you get the documentation in your hand. I wanted your take on that.
Oh man, I've never done it. Um, So you probably, I think that I think that your take is probably even a little bit more advanced than mine. I've never even explored trying to sell a property in a conservatorship. I hate to play ignorant here, but I will. So it's one of those things that I'm digging in, and I do know that there's going to be court approval. I don't know that. I believe that there's going to be court approval required on that. So being able to see the documentation of the conservatorship and then following through the court approval, I think the first thing I would do is go find an attorney that works on conservatorship cases and have a conversation with them. You stumped me, Matthew.
Well,
What?
that's my job. Um, so the full response that I gave to the guy was, depending on the conservatorship, we would either need an attorney or we need somebody to get it out of the conservatorship to sell it.
Hmm.
If it's an environmental conservatorship, that's a whole different ballpark than if somebody just bought it to keep it and wanted to, harvest trees for the
Hmm.
personal property part of it. So it when I went and took a look at the deed restrictions on it was that you could not build commercial buildings on there. Nor could you do any hard buildings such as roads or anything else like that. So the end result was you could put a double wide trailer on it, but that was about it.
Hmm.
The only problem is that, and I don't know why, that this 3 acres of land was in the middle of downtown Durham. And I
Interesting.
still to this day don't know why somebody would want to conserve, 3 acres of land in the middle of a city that has grown around that property.
Do you know how long ago the conservatorship was created?
1940.
Okay. Yeah. That may not have been downtown Durham back then.
Well, it's on the side of the metro. You see the big tall building there that used to say Mutual Insurance
Hmm.
Company.
Yeah.
Well, it's right next to that.
Okay.
So it was,
Yeah, that was around then.
yeah, I was still stumped. I was like,
Yeah.
wow.
And you probably could correct me if I'm wrong. I think that some conservatorships are created for the tax benefits. Some are created and get some kind of they lock themselves into something where they have to plant trees and it can never be built on. Some people just create a conservatorship because they thought it would be a good idea to preserve things for their family, and they put very few rules around it. They just had a harebrained idea one day. So depending on their purpose and how complex they set it up and what their if they were getting tax benefits. And I also think that most of them have a clock on them. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that especially if there's tax benefits, if you put it in and let's pretend that maybe they're growing trees. Because I've seen that, especially out in the country, people take their land and they want a big tax benefit, so they promise to plant 10 trees every year. And those types of conservatorships say that you can't sell that land or you can't build on that land or divide it or harvest anything for 100 years. So seeing the paperwork becomes vital. If it's been around for that long, what's the likelihood that that paperwork is lost? Uh,
I've just never had a conservatorship be part of a probate before, and I was like, well, we got to tiptoe across this one.
yeah, yeah. I'd go find an attorney that does conservatorship, and I don't know anyone. It's never
I
been
don't either.
the type of law that I've actually studied at all or gone after relationships. It's probably a good business relationship there. Yep. Um, well, Matthew, if you get another one that stumps me, go ahead and let me know. That's a new one for me. Hey, Sandra, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. I would love to get your input or the other experts on here. I would love to get their input on a probate case I'm working here in Long Island and New York.
Hmm.
Just to say quickly, I'm halfway through the probate master course and I'm loving it.
Phenomenal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
presently I have two probate inherited properties in contract, but I have one I'm struggling with, and I've been struggling with it for over 12 months.
Okay.
So the issue is that the person, or the sister of the deceased, who is seeking the letters of administration, has not been able to get all the relatives on board to support. And so things like affidavit of supports are missing. There are about a dozen family members identified so far.
Mm.
Now we
Um,
have other challenges. If I could just tell you quickly, the house is in pre-foreclosure and there's a reverse mortgage and the property is underwater. So is this a doozy or is there some way around?
is this a doozy or is this a doozy? Yes, both.
Good.
Yes to both. Um, so no will. I'm assuming there was no will. Okay.
No will.
So, in some cases, and I'm gonna kind of speak to the general room here really quickly. New York, I'm not familiar with the exact terminology, but in general, if someone passes away without a will, the petitioner will go apply for letters of administration. Okay. If somebody passes away with a will, the petitioner will generally apply for letters of testamentary or letters testamentary. Now, this is uh, true where Matthew and I live, and Michael, we're in North Carolina. This is true in North Carolina. This is true in a lot of states. Different states have different terms for those two things. But when there's no will, you're usually applying for administration, and the court oversees the process through intestacy laws, which is why you have 12 heirs that you're chasing down. So sorry, Sandra, that wasn't necessarily for you and me mansplaining to you something that you already knew. I thought it was a good opportunity for other people to know why you needed this stuff from the other heirs. The court should be able to force this through. The other heirs are blocking a legal process that is necessary. And my question is, are they blocking this process because they're procrastinating and ignoring and they have no interest, or are they actively in disagreement and blocking the process and not providing their affidavits?
I believe the latter. There is some family dispute.
Okay. Um, have you or has the petitioner gone to the court and said, "Hey, we want to legally force this"? Have they talked to the court and
Not
tried to
yet.
get a
Not yet.
court directive that says that they have to comply or else? Not yet.
Yeah. Not yet.
Okay, that's what you need. So let me look in New York. Has anyone else dealt with this while I'm doing a quick search? Anyone
They
else ever?
they
Matthew.
do have a clerk of court up there that does to do the probate stuff because my grandmother used to live in New York. Um, they're not as, how should I say, observant of the process like they are here in North Carolina.
Mm,
Um, they are more interested in opening and closing versus was it done according to what the law says, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
hmm Um, so it says that you can petition the New York Surrogates Court in New York. They call it kind of probate court in most counties and states to issue a citation. It's a court order that compels them to cooperate. That's what I would do. So the state has these laws of intestacy, and the other heirs are going to need to cooperate. So that's the first thing that I would do is go to the court and request a citation that compels them to appear or provide their affidavits. Um, Question on the property is it you said it's underwater. It's on the water. Did you say it's on the water or
So there's more owed on it than it's presently worth.
under? Yeah. Okay. So why do you want to be involved with it?
Well, I do know the person is going after the letters of administration. I'm hoping that I could work with an investor to find a way to compensate her for her trouble. So it's my way of giving back to the community and helping in this situation.
Hmm. Okay. Um, Now we need to look at the legality of compensating her for the trouble of helping you buy a property for less than is
Hmm.
owed. So that money, she should be able, if she is appointed as the administrator. So, and that's going to require it's going to require the heirs to get on board, or the court to force the heirs to get on board. If she's appointed as the administrator, she can get compensation from the estate if there's money in the estate. Okay. But your investor and your purchase is probably gonna want to buy the house at even better discount and kind of force probably a short sale or some kind of subject to or owner financing, which may not always be in the benefit of the estate.
Hmm.
Okay. Do you know if there are other assets that have net value?
Not to my knowledge.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Are there
No bank
ways?
accounts, no cars. The
Yeah.
personal effects in the house, they are junk. So,
Are there ways of structuring a deal if you can get the other relatives on board? Yes. Um, is it the type of deal that I would go after? Uh, Honestly, probably not. Uh, Most likely not. Um, you're you're probably compensating the administrator on the side, okay? And that most likely has some legal ramifications
hmm.
if it was discovered. Okay. So now can they make a fee for overseeing the estate? Yeah, definitely. So that compensation would just need to be clear up front, and you already have bad blood between heirs and heirs that aren't cooperating. And now all of a sudden you have to disclose, hey, we're buying this at a deal and we're compensating this personal representative, and those
Hmm.
heirs aren't likely going to want to cooperate with that. So now you're adding an additional layer of complexity and problems to it. Could you hand her some cash under the table? Uh, you can. Um, is it legal and would I advise it?
Hmm.
I'd probably not. Okay. I'd walk away.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a doozy. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey guys, I'm butting in here with a quick ask. If you're getting value out of this coaching today, I want to invite you to check out my probate mastery trainings over at www.probatemastery.com. Probate Mastery is for you if you're an agent or an investor that wants to work with motivated sellers that have inherited real estate that they don't need and in many cases can't afford. These sellers are more appreciative, willing to trust your expertise, and less likely to nickel and dime you over commission or price. Why is that? They're often in the middle of a complex probate or an estate administration process, and this means that real estate is very often a burden on them, and they simply need the help. Inside of Probate Mastery, I teach you exactly where to source your leads, how to establish value, and offer your service in a way that quickly makes you, as the professional, your market's expert in the probate space. If you want to know a little bit more, go over to www.probatemastery.com. Hope to see you guys inside of the community. Thanks. Does anyone else have an opinion on this? Am I the only one that's going, I don't think I'd really want to touch this one?
What part of New York State is it in? Because depending on where it is, like the southern tier of New York, home prices have fallen from like $130,000 to $55,000. And if it's near the cities, then you might be able to get some traction with investors.
So we're in the Long Island area.
So you might be able to get some investors and whatnot in there.
Mhm.
Yep.
And could they negotiate with the bank? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Um, I, d- re, Do me a favor, and anyone else that might have interest, I saw somebody else chatted in. Email me. I know someone who has a lawyer on staff with their real estate company. that might be able to negotiate, might be able to step in and negotiate. But if it was me personally handling it, I don't think that I would want to personally handle this. And I'm just pickier over the years with the deals that I get involved with. It's not something that I would directly get involved with. But if you could get maybe an investor that has an attorney on staff to jump in and negotiate with the other parties and negotiate with the bank, you might be able to get something out of it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yep. Perfect. Okay, Casey.
I was just gonna add, Sandra, it seems like your mindset and your approach is like spot on. And I think it's great to take that approach with this business. Just wanting to help families. But you have to be careful not to get caught up in deals like that, right? At the end of the day, we're here to run a profitable business and not necessarily a charity. Those types of deals, right? They can be very time consuming and take a lot of your resources. And that's fine. If you want to do some of those just to be a helpful resource, I think that is important. But keep in mind of your mental bandwidth. There are a lot of other properties and people out there that would be happy to utilize you and that you can help that just don't have so much red tape and have properties in the estates that have equity, things like that. Just as you get started, right? You have to somewhat be choosy of who you're helping, because some of those deals like that can really bog you down, and kind of grind on you. So focus on the families that you can help immediately to make your business profitable. And then down the road, right, if you want to take on some of those more complex estates, right, that's great. But just don't get too caught up in trying to help everybody. Run a profitable business first.
Mhm.
Oh, I really thank you for that, helping me to focus there, Casey. Thank you.
Yeah, good stuff. Okay. I just I just closed a probate deal where I got involved in a, running a charity. And I didn't mean to. It kind of snuck up on me. And at the end of the transaction, I didn't lose money, but it certainly wasn't worth all the involvement that I had. This one, I changed the locks. I ran an estate sale. I hauled the remaining junk away. I ran paperwork between the representative in the courts and the attorney. Um, I fixed an AC. I dropped a dumpster off. So many different things, and all the expenses just kind of stacked up on me, and all the time stacked up on me. And I went to meet people at the property that didn't show up. And by the end of the day, and yes, I made a paycheck, but at the end of the day, I feel like I made $5 an hour. And because I made poor decisions on which deal to pursue and what to offer on this deal, it just really wasn't worth it. And it's time I wish I had back and money I wish I had back, even though I technically came out a little bit ahead. It was money. So be cautious on taking some of these, especially things like this, because I'm not sure that it can close. Now, if someone like Jeff in the comments, who's an investor, so Jeff, it was your text, it was your message that I saw come in. If you have an investor that can take the back end and kind of work through negotiating and chasing people down, and there's good profit in it for them, absolutely pull somebody else in. I'm just not sure that I would, as an agent, I'm not sure that I would personally try to coordinate this one. It sounds like a bit of a waste of time, unless you're going to make some of the investment profit if you can negotiate the lean down. All good stuff. Casey's answer spot on. Thank you, Casey. All right. Who else? What else do we have? If you have a question, go down to the bottom of your screen, hit the react button, click the bar that says raise your hand. You got some folks that are pretty seasoned in here and able to handle your questions, your business strategies, your deal structure, all kinds of things. And if anyone has any questions that you think are going to stump me, Matthew, just kind of like Matthews, pop your hand up. It's Stump Bruce Day, I think. Angela.
Bruce question, but so I'm in Florida and I actually have a title company who can pull some what they told me were probate leads. But it turns out that these leads are actually pre-probate leads. So I know in a lot of our, I've taken probate mastery and a lot of the teachings, a lot of the calls are kind of the approach with a probate lead because I like this, that saying, hey, I'm offering a concierge service and, I work closely with your script, I guess, for lack of better work closely with the courts. And I got your number basically because you filed for probate. So if these are probate leads, my understanding is they haven't technically filed for probate. So I was just wanting some advice to how to approach these types of leads. I'm also waiting for an approval through the clerk of the court to be able to pull who has applied for probate leads. So I can take these pre-probate, see if they happen to have filed, but just kind of wanted to navigate that. Some little details.
Yeah, definitely. So if I'm on pre-probate and I very rarely pursue pre-probate. I think that there is a good way to pursue pre-probate, but it's just a business that I've intentionally avoided for and not that you should avoid it. Okay, let me tell you guys really quickly why I avoid it. I already have a tendency to take on more than I can take on. Like I recognize that about myself. And adding lead sources when I'm still ironing out another system is never a good idea. So for me, it's perfect one system, get all the tools, the assets, the systems in place, get it to where you're running it with a few hours a week or you have a team running it where you're really only involved in signing the paperwork, if that, okay, and then go take something else on. And so probate's never been the next thing for me. Or pre-probate has never been the next thing for me. So pre-probate, there's a couple of ways that you can do it. I would mail the decedent's address. So if I had pre-probate leads, I'd mail the decedent's address and I'd treat it um, in a way, kind of like a circle prospecting approach. Hey, I have a buyer or I have buyers that are looking for property in this area. I recognize that this home may be connected to an estate or a trust. I was wondering if there was any chance that you'd be selling. If so, I've got someone that might be interested. Okay. That's a good approach. Whoever the responsible party is most likely checking the mail or has mail forwarding. I'm not a huge proponent. I like cold mail. I'm not a huge proponent of cold mail standing alone. I think that if anyone's doing cold mail, they should generally be doing content and calls as well, and then building their network relationships. So those are kind of the four approaches. Mail is one of those. Now on pre-probate, I'm normally going to lead with mail. On probate, I usually lead with calls and content and relationships, and mail is a backup. Pre-probate, I'll lead with mail because I don't know who to mail. I've got 7 or 8 possible relatives on my pre-probate list, and I have no idea which one is going to be the most likely representative. I mean, we could guess. We could go look in an obituary record and say survived by and see if it's a spouse. Maybe we know we're mailing the spouse. If it's an oldest child or a brother, they might be listed up top. And then I could guess that the oldest living relative or the closest living relative is probably the representative, but it's still a guess. Um, and then I've got to figure out who am I going to mail? Am I going to mail all of these people? Am I going to mail one of these people? What if I'm wrong? So that's why if I mail pre-probate, I only mail the decedent's address. And I take that I have buyers in the area. I noticed that this property could be connected to an estate or a trust. Was wondering if you might be selling. If you are, I have someone that would be interested in making an offer. Pretty simple. Okay. If I'm calling, and I'm not saying I wouldn't call, again, I don't know who to call, so I'll call all of them. How'd you get my number? I have a white pages or similar system to like white pages, and I was just trying to find the person that was going to represent this estate. Are they going to love you for saying that? No, but it's better than saying you're on public records because they are not. They're definitely not public records. It's purely skip tracing. Where those leads came from, they came from most likely an obituary list. That's
That's what it sounds
probably where they
like.
came from. Yeah.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed. I was disheartened by it, but I'm going to stick with the probate because I'm already overthinking it anyway because I feel like I need to get the marketing material together. I don't know. There's a lot with just the actually dealing with probates, and that's kind of where my passion is anyway. So the
Mhm.
pre-probate, I'll probably thank you, but no thank you
Yep.
for the list.
Okay. Yep. I'm just going to speak to everyone really quickly. I'm not trashing pre-probate. I think that there's a great opportunity there, and I know people that do deals every single month with pre-probate lists. The majority of them cold mail, and they just tolerate the fact that there's going to be responses to their cold mail that are less than pleasant. But there's plenty of families in pre-probate that are in a absolute flat rush to get a house sold. They're in a rush. And by doing nothing with pre-probate, yes, you're going to miss those people that are in a rush because you're waiting on probate. Personally, I'm fine missing those people. And if they're on Google or ChatGPT or something like that, and they're searching, how do I sell this inherited house? Um, if I do a good enough job on content, they're going to find me anyway without having to go get a pre-probate list.
Quick, if nobody has their hand up, quick other question, kind of circle back with your opening thing. I'm trying to figure out where the best way to get a website, and think you had mentioned all the leads,
Mhm.
because they're in this space. Would you suggest that because of the SEO and the type of things, or just any? Because I'm hiring a graphic designer as well to do some business cards and other printed material, so I'm kind of torn between, do I go to one place for all or split that up?
Uh, so it's you can totally split it up. Okay, so first off, I in the on my website front, I want to make sure that I definitely have a specific estate administration or a probate website. That's very important that we have something specifically in the probate or estate administration space. Um, all the Leads has great website templates. I really don't know anyone else today that have good probate templates for your websites. Now they are templated sites, which is fine, not a problem because um, you're gonna need to build the SEO up on that yourself over time, and that's one of the mistakes a lot of people make when they get a website that another platform built is they never put any energy into SEO. So those are WordPress based sites, and if you want to drive the ranking on those sites up, you should be adding video, you should be adding pages, you should be adding blogs to that site semi-frequently. Um, and you can do that within all the lead site. Now, I kind of smirked while you were asking that question because I am this close to being able to give you guys templates that you can plug into a WordPress platform and basically run your own site with a templated series of pages that are pretty much pre-built. I stumbled on it over the weekend while I was building out one of my sites personally, and I'm a total nerd on this stuff. I'm geeking out on this stuff, and it's not everybody's cup of tea. But I was building out a website, and I was using Claude. Okay, so I used Claude, and I said, "Hey, here's some examples of some sites that I like. My business is real estate, but I like this design. Here's everything that you need to know about my business. I want a wireframe basic visual design of this page of this site." And it gave me a visual design. And I went back and I said, change the colors to these colors. And it gave me another visualization. And I said, change the header to this, this, and this. and it gave me another one. And after like four back and forths, it gave me a visualization that I really liked. And then I said, now I want Codex. And this is gonna, some of you guys are gonna be like, oh, why are we talking about this? So I recognize that I'm in a place where some of you guys just have no interest. I'll try to get through it fast. I went to Codex, which is ChatGPT's coding platform. And I took that visualization and I said, I want to build a website like this, but I don't want to have to know code every time I go change it. And Codex comes back to me and says, we'll just build you a template. I was like, I didn't know that this was even such a thing. And so with 2 hours, it gave me a fully templated site for myself. Um, and I can go change my links, my buttons, my text, my calls to action at will, just in plain English inside of the site. And it was so simple. Now, granted, I've been playing with this stuff for a few months, so it probably wouldn't have been as simple 2 months ago when I first started doing it. But it was so simple that I went, man, I think I could probably create website templates that probate mastery students could get. So today I'd go to all the leads. They're going to give you a template. If you wait on me for a month or two, I'd just give you a template as well. They're going to charge hosting, but they're also going to give you the back end login. If you want to do it yourself, go to Codex. Find somebody's site that you really like. Get yourself a paid ChatGPT membership, which I think most people have. Download Codex. So Codex specifically, and then you give your examples to it and say, these are the examples. This is my color scheme. This is what I want it to look like. Build me a web page in code. And then it's going to give you a whole bunch of code, and you're going to say, I don't know what any of this stuff is. And you're going to say to Codex, I don't know what any of this stuff is. And it's going to tell you what it is, and then go, I don't know what to do with it. And it's going to say, go buy a WordPress domain. And you're going to say, I don't know where to do that. And it's going to say, go to wp.engine.com. And you're going to say, now what? And it'll say, click the green button. Literally, that's how simple it can be. You can have a conversation with Codex just like any other AI platform you're using, and it can step by step walk you through building a web page. I started doing it a month and a half ago with my blogs. I created a blog template, and I get my blog off of Claude. I proof it, make sure that it's accurate, and I de-AI it. So I take all the M dashes and all that stuff out. And then I give it to Codex with my template, and I say, okay, apply this blog to my template, and it kicks out all the code. I copy the code, I paste it on my blog platform, and I have a blog. So there are tools to do this that once you've played with it a couple of times aren't too complicated to just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. You can get web pages out every single day if you want. You can get blogs out every day. We've got the tools. I'm barely touching on that tomorrow with the class that we're doing. I'll be dabbling on the website stuff. It's mostly about creating the content, but once you have the content, you should be able to go to some of these. And I'm probably going to put a class out on it, showing you guys what I've learned over the last couple of months, because it's really powerful. You can build web pages in no time at all. You can put blogs up in no time at all. You can code HTML systems in no time at all. I didn't know what any of this stuff was. That all you have to do is take a few inputs. I've got a way of giving a spreadsheet to a system that Claude built for me, and it'll reformat the whole spreadsheet. It'll then go and scrub the tax records and verify which of the properties were owned by the decedent, which ones were owned by trust, which ones look like they were rented, and it'll format it all for me. And all I had to do was push a couple of buttons and upload my spreadsheet. Claude built that for me. So if you guys aren't using AI like this, if you're still using it like ChatGPT, you're missing some good opportunities to expand really quickly. So I'm actively planning some classes that are going to be really beneficial for a lot of you guys. Just got to iron out a couple of other little wrinkles before they come out. But over the next month, I'll be putting these things out.
So will we get an email if we're in probate mastery? If we've already done it,
Definitely.
we would get that
Yep.
email for those classes.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep. Hey, Terry,
Is speaking of Codex, is it a separate AI or is it a subset of Chat GPT or what?
it's owned by ChatGPT. Is ChatGPT Anthropic or is that Claude?
Anthropic is Claude.
Claude. Okay. Yeah, it's owned by OpenAI. It's owned by them. It's just their coding platform. So Claude has a coding platform. I was looking at this recently. Claude has different platforms for different things. They have something called routines that you can build a routine and it plugs into different systems that you use and we'll do all kinds of things on a schedule. So you build something and say, I do this every day. So maybe I go in and I check my probate records on my county website every day. And you can plug it in, and it'll go on a 4 hour schedule and it'll pull all the probate records. Or maybe your inbox is like mine and has 19 million unread emails, mostly junk. And you can say, hey, go into my email every 2 hours and give me a summary of all the emails that have come in. Tell me which one you've deleted and which ones I should respond to. So there's all of these platforms have different systems that you can set up and essentially run your kind of run some back end processes on autopilot. Terry's question, I'm ADHD rabbit trailing all over the place. Codex is Claude's platform. It is a different platform. You have to go download the Codex app. But if you have a ChatGPT account, it will it just marries up.
Thanks.
Definitely. All right. Anything else? I saw Darrett's hand a little bit ago. Darrett, are you still here? Do you still have a comment or question? Nope. Okay. If so, you're off of the main screen right now, so I can't tell if you're still in here. But if you are, let us know what you have. All right. Hey, Bill.
I'd like to ask a question because you talk about regularly your use of AI in some of these systems you've built. And I think that one of the things that I struggle with is how much time to spend on learning these systems. I enjoy it, so it can become a hobby and leave the workspace. I also think sometimes our expectations may or may not be realistic. How much time do you spend kind of learning what to do or playing with it or researching with it before you actually find something that's productive that you're using in your business currently?
Yeah, what's interesting is I very rarely spend time learning a system with any tool that I'm using. I already use the tool, and if I have a challenge in my business, I'll just say, hey, this is a challenge in my business. Is there a way that you can help me with this? So, for example, the email example, I'm going to give you guys a real example. I'll share my screen here in a second. The email example was one that I just was having a conversation. I cannot stay on top of my emails and it constantly grows. And every week that goes by, there's 80 new emails in there that I have not opened. Now, is it that I'm ignoring people? No. But when I go in and I see a wall of 60 new emails and I can quickly scan and tell that they are all sales pitches, I don't open and delete each one. Is it a fault? Yes, it's a fault. But I was having this chat with Claude, and I was saying, is there a way that I can get rid of some of these emails? Was I researching and trying to learn a new system? No. But Claude goes, yes. If you access Claude routines, you can talk to me over the course of 2 sessions, and I will plug into your emails and read all your emails for you and send you a summary of which ones you should respond to. And then if you tell me delete all the other ones, I'll delete all the other ones. And suddenly, I have a tool that I didn't know was available, and it didn't really take me any time other than asking, how do I solve this problem? I had a client of mine a week and a half ago, who wanted to meet and he wanted to review. Okay, this is a weird scenario. He's super analytical. He's buying a house that's a new construction that's closing sometime at the end of August. He's listing his house, but he wants to know if he should list on May 1st, June 1st, or June 15th. And he wants to know what happens if we price the house at 475 versus 465. What if the house sells in 7 days? What if it sells in 14 days? What if I get permission to do a lease back from the new buyer? What if I can't? What if I have to do short-term housing? He wants to know all these different things. And he said, "Can you come over to the house and meet with me and talk about it?" And it's like this conversation is going to take forever. So I copied and pasted his message into Claude and I said, "Look at all these variables that this guy wants to discuss." So this guy wants to discuss all these variables. I don't even know where to begin with his needs. And in about 10 minutes, Claude kicks out an HTML file that I'm trying to find and I'm trying to share my screen with all the variables. And all I have to do is plug the variables in and and he'll see every single possible scenario and how it impacts his wallet. Okay. And I'm gonna find it here in just a second. So Bill, I don't spend time hunting down and researching things unless it's a current relevant pain point to me. And then I go to the tool and I say, is there something that you can do to solve this problem? And it'll say, yes, I can do this. And then my next question is usually, how long is it going to take to build? And if it's, we can build this in 30 minutes, guess what? That's one of my business projects that week. That week. Let's build this tool over the next 30 minutes or later this week. Bill, if you have anything else to chime in on, I can go to Casey too. I'm looking for the tool that this thing that we created. It's really good. I can't wait to show it to you guys, but I've got to find it first. Um, so Bill or Casey, why don't you guys jump in while I'm
Yeah,
looking
I
for
just
it?
wanted, Bill, to kind of give my input to your question, right? And maybe this is better for tomorrow's class, but when it comes to AI, it is moving at such a rapid pace, and there are new tools that are coming out daily, right? And it can be pretty overwhelming. And I'm someone who really enjoys these tools and understanding how I can implement them into my business. Um, so the approach I take is what are some of the pain points in my business, some of the holes right in the bucket? What are the tools that can directly make the biggest impact on those? But one thing that I've done, Bill, which may help you, is I have AI agents set up for myself to run my probate business, some other businesses that I have as well. And every Friday, I just instructed my AI agent to do market research on all of the new AI tools and AI news. And I want you to put together a report every Friday at 3 o'clock of what is new in the AI space from big level, like what's Anthropic doing, what's OpenAI doing, what are some of the new tools that they're coming out with. And I've prompted my agent to say, I want to know specifically which tools can be used in my business to move the ball forward. Don't give me any fluff. I only want to see the things that are important to me in my business. Um, and then that way, what I'm doing is on Fridays when I'm a little bit slower, I'll go through that list and I'll investigate some of those new tools. But it can be a trap too, right? There's so much happening so quickly that you can just find yourself, right, watching tutorials on new tools that are very, very cool tools, but not wouldn't be a great addition to your business. So that's one thing that I do just to try and stay on top of all these things. And that can be a helpful thing. Just set that up so you're still being introduced, but let your AI agent do the filtering for you.
Mm-hmm. I'm assuming that's a routine.
Yeah, that's set up on what's called a cron job. So that happens every week. I don't I don't forget about it. Like for instance, last week, Anthropic launched what's called Claude Design, which is just will blow your mind in a million ways that you can implement it into a probate business. And right, I got introduced to that by my AI agent saying, "Hey, this is brand new this week. It's a great tool. I think it's something that you could implement into your business." And just understand as these new tools come out, it may be great for now, but there's probably going to be a new tool that does it more efficiently
Yep.
3 weeks from now. So don't be quick to jump on every new tool, right? And dive into it. Give it some time. The market, other people in this industry and other industries will kind of weigh out what's useful and what's not. So typically my rule of thumb is if there's a new system or platform or tool that some of these AI companies come out with, I'll let it mature a little bit and I'll see if people are still talking about it 2 weeks from now. And if they
Hmm.
are, then great. Maybe it's worth my time to dive into and see how I can implement it in my business.
Good. So, the way that I like to look at most anything that's AI related is, can I build an asset that will work for me in my business? Can I build an asset? Is it, I've over the years, I've had people say, how do you build so many things? And the answer isn't that I consistently am building all these things all the time. It's that every month I have project time on the business time in my baked into my schedule, where I know that for 5 hours a week I'm going to have time dedicated and baked into my schedule where nothing else can interrupt, and I'm going to go build an asset. And an asset could be a YouTube channel, it could be a video, it could be a blog, it could be a website, it could be a tool like is on my screen right now. I have assets that I can build. So if I have a problem in my business and I ask Claude or ChatGPT or whatever you guys use, how to solve it, and it says, hey, you should build one of these, I don't go build it right now. I have other things that I'm supposed to be doing right now, but I put it on my list and I prioritize it. And when I have my 5 hours a week that's baked into my schedule to build assets, I'll build that asset. And I want to build an asset a week. And over 21 years in the real estate business, I have a whole lot of assets that are out there. And an asset, again, is something that makes my job easier or gets me clients even if I'm asleep. So this is an asset. Now, this one I did spend the time because my client had said, hey, let's meet this afternoon. I had a coaching call in 10 minutes. I was going to be leaving immediately from the coaching call to go meet the client. And he sends me this text and says, these are all the things I want to talk about. And I went, this is going to take 3 hours to talk about. I better ask Claude if there's a tool. So I asked Claude if there was a tool. And within 10 minutes before I got on my coaching session, what you guys see on your screen was produced. And I went to him and I said, hey, let's talk about your sale price. So if you guys see here, I'm just going to blow this up. Claude said, okay, expected sale price 460. What's the real estate commission? Okay. What are other seller costs? Are there any miscellaneous variable costs that he might want to think about? $2,000. Do I have a guaranteed cash offer right now? I get guaranteed cash offers on most of my houses, somewhere in the 85% range. So I just left it blank. If I didn't have one, we're just going to assume 85%. When is the new home closing? Somewhere around August 15th. When are we required to have a contract on the house, on his existing current house? June 15th. So in 54 days, I have to have a contract. What are the listing dates that he wants to talk about? He wanted to talk about April 21st, May 12th, and he wanted to talk about June 1st. So I'm just going to plug in June 1st. Okay. What are the market stats? So what are the comparable sales? Comparable sales are 435, 460. Okay. That's most likely is 460, 475. Now I know that these are his comparable sales. So the lowest is at 435. He's not going to sell there. How long is the average house staying on the market? Claude gave me all of this. Average house is staying on the market 18 days in his neighborhood. How many competing listings? 8. How long have they been on the market? 29 days on average. How many houses sell per month? 8. So I just pulled all these numbers. If he does a lease back, it's going to be 70 days. We're going to shoot for a 30-day lease back. He's going to have 4,500 in temporary housing, 1,500 in storage, and his moving costs are going to be 6,000. So all I've got to do is run down the side here now and plug in each of these data points, each of these possible things. I think we're going to list at 460. Um, I know that the new home's closing here. He's required to have a contract on his house by June 15th. So now Claude is telling me what the likely options are. They tell me it's likely that if he lists on April 21st, he's probably going to have a sale in the first 30 days. More than likely, these are going to be his net proceeds, given the fact that he's got to cover these gap costs with double moves and storage and temporary housing. Okay. And then it's telling me in these shaded blocks what's unlikely to happen. If he lists on May 12th, what's likely to happen? It's likely again because it's 460. It's likely he's going to sell inside of 30 days. So it's very likely that he's going to have gap cost, and it's telling us what his net is going to be. Now, the fun thing is, remember I told you guys 475 was the highest comp. What happened if we decide to list at 485? I don't like that at all. That's not accurate. Let's say what happened if we decide to list at 500,000. Make sure the tool is doing what it's supposed to. Um, Tool is not doing what it's supposed to. That's embarrassing. It did it the day, but it shows up and it should be showing this option where you're probably going to take 60 to 90 days because you're overpricing the house. All right. So
When it
this
comes to 560, so that may be causing a problem.
was 10%. Oh, yeah, thank you. Man, that was a great catch. Okay, so notice what just happened. The likely scenarios are running 60 days at this point. So I gave Claude what was happening in the market. I gave it what my client wanted to see. I showed up at his house. I gave him this tool, and he said, I'm guessing that your brokerage probably have developers build this. I said, no, I built that today. He was blown away. Okay, I didn't build it today. Claude did. This is an asset that I can use for every client that's doing a buy sell in the future. I could use this tool for any buy sell client that I ever had. I could use this tool in a YouTube video and promote it as a freebie giveaway. I asked Claude to give me 2 buttons over here that don't go anywhere right now, but get a guaranteed cash offer on your home. I could put this as a download this free tool under the video, and I could send them the free tool when they download it. And then when they click this button, they become a lead. Hey, I want a cash offer. I want to guarantee a cash offer on my house. They click here. Now they come in as a lead. Hey, I want the market statistics on my house. They click here. They come in as a lead. So I want everyone to kind of think about how do you build assets into your business that are going to make your job easier and more importantly, go work for you to generate deals, even if you're off playing around, even if you're off, even if you're sleeping, even if you're on date night, whatever you're doing, are your assets working for you? And for me, that's what the benefit of AI is right now, is AI can help you create those assets at record speed that then become something that make you more free. Unless you go down the rabbit trail and research 24/7, and then you're less free. So use it properly. Get a summary like Casey does, get a summary, and then use the new things to build an asset that'll go generate leads for you, that'll run processes for you so that you don't have to run them anymore, that'll market for you, that'll help you close more deals. And once it's built, it's built. it can just live out there. If somebody goes, "Hey, I've got this scenario. I want to buy a house, I want to sell a house, but I don't know when to list my house." All I'm going to do is I'm going to say, "Hey, here's this free tool. Use it, and it'll tell you what our most likely listing options are."
Bruce, I have a question. It's Tess.
Hey,
Hi, how
Tess.
are you?
Good.
So, how did you get this software again? I mean, what you're
Uh,
using?
Claude AI built this for me in 10 minutes. I gave Claude, I said, if you guys saw my prompt, you would probably not think very highly of me. I said, this blankety blank client wants to meet me at his house and he's too analytical and he thinks that I'm gonna meet with him for 3 hours and we're not even ready to list yet. And I griped about him. And I said, but this is the questions he's asking. And I copied and pasted it and I said, is there a tool or a spreadsheet that I can use that will answer all these questions for him? And Claude said, yes, I think I can build you an HTML file
Okay.
and you can give
So,
him the HTML file. And that's what it built.
in essence, if we were to apply that, all we have to do is ask Claude to do the analysis like this, which would give us, if we have a client who wants to know their value, if they get like a cash offer or a standard sale. Is that how it's going to work so far
Sure.
when you
Yeah.
get
So
the
Claude built
analysis?
me the tool. Claude is
Uh,
technically, I guess Claude could do the analysis for
uh-huh.
me, but Claude built
Uh-huh.
me the tool. I said I want a
Okay.
tool because I want something that if Claude goes away tomorrow
Okay.
or starts charging $1,000 a month, okay,
Right.
I have the tool that's just a standalone file on my computer that I can send to someone.
Got it. It's really good. I
Yep.
think that's a great, tool to use. It's home sale timing calculator, you
Hmm.
call it, right?
Yep. So this is going to be a lead generator for me. The first version, what you guys see here, I actually kind of perfected a little bit later that night. The first version was a little tiny bit more simplistic than this, but once it knocked the socks off of the seller and it cut my meeting time down to 30 minutes, I came back and I said, I think this would be a good lead magnet for me. So I built it out a little bit more with where it could have some more variables. Let me say this. I talked to Claude. I told it the first version, what the first version didn't have that I wanted it to have, and it changed the tool for me.
So of all the AI that you had used, I'm wondering why did you use Claude as opposed to maybe Perplexity or ChatGPT? Because there's another one too, which is Manus, I think,
Hmm.
Manus.
Yeah. They all
So,
have different strengths, and
uh-huh,
one that dominates today might
uh-huh,
not dominate in a couple of months. So I
mhm,
use Codex when I write my websites. So Codex,
uh-huh,
that's a ChatGPT product. Why?
okay,
Because they were inferior to Claude's coding process a few months ago, and they put a ton of energy into making Codex better. And now they're the
uh-huh,
best coding,
I see,
in my
okay,
opinion. Okay. Claude will probably put more to race ahead of them at some point. Okay.
mhm,
So they are changing a little bit, but the bottom line is I don't need 100 websites.
yeah,
So today, Codex and ChatGPT's product is the best for coding and creating a website. So I'm going to use it today and I'm going to create an asset. And once
uh-huh,
that asset's created, I don't need Codex anymore.
right, okay,
Right now, I like Claude because it builds tools like this better than the others that I have used. Okay. ChatGPT is pretty good at giving me spreadsheets and things like that. Claude is good at helping me find tools that I didn't know that I could create. So if I ask ChatGPT, it goes, "Do you want me to give you a spreadsheet?" Sure. If I ask Claude, Claude goes, do you want a spreadsheet? Do you want an HTML file or do you want a website?"
mm,
And I go, "I didn't know that there was such a thing. I didn't know you could create an HTML." And it goes, "Oh yeah, it's all code. Do you want me to build it?" Yeah. So I that's why I like Claude as of today.
mm,
I like the Google. For some reason, the names are escaping me right now, most of them. So Google, I like that for voice
How,
conversations.
how about
Gemini.
Gemini? Have you tried
Gemini,
Gemini?
that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, Gemini, I
Yeah.
like that to power anything that's voice activated.
Hmm.
I like Claude for most tool building and content writing. I like
Hmm.
ChatGPT's Codex for website and blog writing,
Got it.
like page
Okay.
design. Yeah. And I don't need other tools than that right now. I mean, Bill brought up phenomenal question. Why? You know, he didn't say that, but why? What's the point? All I know is I have a problem. I want a tool to solve the problem. I'm going to go to one of them and say, is there something that we can build that solves this problem so that I don't have the problem anymore?
Hmm. I see.
And if you ask the right questions, is there something that you can build? If you go to it and say, "Hey, create a spreadsheet that helps solve this," you've told it what the solution is, and it's going to give you exactly what you ask. Instead of saying, "Hey, create this to solve that problem," I say, "Hey, here's the problem. What are the options for solving it?" And I let it propose the options, and then I pick the options that it gave me.
Hmm.
All right.
A lot of learning.
It'll help you with the learning. Like it can help you with the learning. You just have to get good at saying, "Hey, I don't know what to do. I don't know what that means. I'm late for a coaching call, guys. I'm gonna have to bounce." But it'll say, you just say, "Hey, I don't know." It tells you something, and you go, "I don't know what that means. Give it to me in layman's terms. Give me step by step." And it'll go, "Oh, sorry, I didn't realize I was talking to a dummy." Okay, step one, do this. Step two, and I go, I don't see that. And should I give you a screenshot? And it goes, yeah, give me a screenshot. If you see my chats, it's loaded with screenshots. I don't see that. Tell me where. I don't see
Hmm.
that either. Tell me where. And it will talk to you at a 5-year-old level if you want it to. You just have to tell it to.
Got it.
All right.
Thank you.
Tomorrow, 12 o'clock Eastern Time, we're doing content creation. And anybody that wants videos and blogs, we're going to run through how to create your scripts, how to create your social media plan for when to post them, how to create your blog content, how to create your shorts, how to create your SEO, run through that all with some prompts that I use on with Claude. Claude's generally what I use on most things, with the exception of coding. We'll go through that. I'll give you the prompts, and then I'll also show you if you want my editors to be able to edit your videos for you. I'll show you how you can submit your orders on that. All right. So hopefully I see a bunch of you guys tomorrow at noon, and expect to be there for about an hour and a half. All right. Thank you guys. See you then.